guys, welcome to this new video on my Dendrobium Nobile. Now as you can see, he's lovingly known as Mr. Tatty because of the damage that I inflicted on it. Cold damage, heat damage, water damage and all sorts of stuff because I was learning, alright? So all these damage on the leaves, I mean that can come off because I'll deal with that later. But the damage on the leaves you can see here. The one that you may have seen, and I will put the help one, the link up above or down in the description below, and it will be on the end page so you can see what happened to this little bit here, which is completely desiccated. This was the new growth that this put out after I was given this beautiful tall Dendrobium cane here. It was covered in leaves, which you can see where they are, and these bits are where the flowers were. I mean, as you can see, it's probably easier if I turn this round actually. I don't know if you can see, but these pseudo bulbs are not shriveled at all, but there's spots of colour where they've gone yellow, which I suspect is cold damage. That bit there, there's more down here. That particular wound there is where I took a Keiki off. So for those of you who don't know, Dendrobium nobilis, and this one is Spring Dreamer pollen, I believe, are deciduous. So the fact that it's got no leaves, or it's got very sparse leaves, is perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Obviously all the damage on here is my fault, but this is still growing. Well, that's the last new leaf it put out, but I looked at it this morning and these pseudo bulbs are getting really plump, which is really good. So it's quite healthy. It's just growing in a funny direction because of the way my windows work in here as well. I mean that one's put out, and it has put out a new leaf as well. See if I can find it. Yeah, that one. That nice looking shiny one just there, that is the new one. And you're looking at this and you're thinking, but that one's not damaged at all. Well, there's a reason for that. Because if I turn this round, what you can see is that this growth here is actually a Keiki. So there are roots on here. I don't know how well they're doing. They've got little green tips on them, but there's only 4, oh no, there's 5 there, and I can't see any more coming out. So there's 5 there, and that one is still attached to the mother plant, and he seems to be doing quite well. And that's the newest leaf there, this one here, which is how shiny it is. Look, that's what the new plant looks like. It's all nice and shiny. This hasn't been damaged at all because it wasn't there when I damaged the other 2 bits, or this bit and this bit here. Obviously eventually these 2 leaves will fall off, but it's looking healthy even though it's a bit tatty. But I do know that at some point these leaves are going to fall off. I mean that's obviously going to go fairly shortly. I will deal with that when I finish filming, if it doesn't fall off first. So yeah, I mean look, you can see what I did. Totally my fault. I forgot to bring it in from the porch one day, having tried to get it as much light as I could possibly get it. I've now found a way around that. But this plant gave up these 2 new, put up these 2 new growths, this one and this one underneath here, that are veering off towards the window. It put up those 2 new growths. And what did it do? Well, because it put up those 2 new growths, I then turned it round and there was nubbins on there, and I'm like, oh, what are they all about? And discovered they're Keikis, and they're basically baby plants. I mean, you can see that's a plant, and it goes all the way down here, and these are its root system. The reason I haven't removed this one is because there's no way on earth its roots are long enough for it to sustain itself, so it needs to stay there for a bit longer. I'm suspecting I'm not giving it enough humidity because the root tips aren't green yet, and at the moment my humidifier is waiting to be mended. So I've put this back upstairs where the humidity up there is far better than down here. I assume because heat rises and things, but the humidity up there is a lot better, and it seems to be doing all right. I took this plant out of the decorative pot and look at the root growth. It's going absolutely mad. There's root growth all over the place. I can't do this with one hand because I'm going to drop it. It's a bit unstable. So let me just take that out. I mean, it's got a pot full of roots, but there are new roots there. And if you look down there, I mean, there's even one coming out the bottom. So there are new roots there. So it is putting out one heck of a root system at the minute. I'm hoping so that it can push up some new growth. Now this video's come about because somebody on one of our local groups, which has nothing to do with plants, it's just a village that's close to us, asked what to do about her orchid because it was all losing all its leaves and it was putting out these plants. Do I remove it and all that sort of stuff? So that's why this is here. But what they've said, what I've been told, is you shouldn't remove these until either the roots are like 4 inches long, or you have to remove it for other reasons. Now then, as you can see, this is the keiki that I showed you had been removed from the other plant. Obviously I had to remove this because the container that the big plant was in, okay, as you can see, this keiki had to be removed from the mother plant because it was so big and so long that every time I took the plant in and out the pot to water it, I was scared I was going to break the roots, which is why I had to remove this one, because as you can see, it's quite long. It's a lot longer than the other one. This one came up first. It's been put in a mix of orchid bark and I think it's just airy orchid bark, because obviously these roots are aerial. I haven't seen it produce any more roots yet, but it's all shiny and it's all, you know, it is looking healthy at the moment. So look, you can see how shiny that is. That's a nice shiny leaf. And I just leave that on the kitchen windowsill at the moment, again, which is why it's veering off towards the right, because that's where my best bright light is. But there isn't room on the other windowsill for this. And it's, you know, its roots at that point were about 4 inches long. So with the length of this and the length of the roots, it was getting a bit ridiculous. So I had to take it off because it was getting way too big. Now I believe, I don't know, yeah, that's definitely attached itself to something, because look, I won't do that too much. So it's obviously got its roots in there, but I can't see them. I mean, I can't see roots in there at all, so there's no, the roots are in there because it's attached. Now I know when I put it in there it wasn't anywhere near that attached, because you could virtually just lift it up and it would fall straight out the pot. So I've got this, like I say, in a decorative pot, as you can see, on the kitchen windowsill, just so I can keep an eye on it. Oh, Russell's come to join us. Just so I can keep an eye on it and you know, but that is what a potted up Keiki looks like. I'm really pleased I can do that with it. So the roots have taken, so that's one plant, and then if I move that off there we go, and you can see how once this plant, this baby one here, gets much longer roots and much happier roots, then I will take that one off as well, and then that will leave the mother plant, because you need to leave these on because these feed all the roots in the soil and the new growths and the baby plants. And the way to tell if they're not doing that properly is if the pseudobulbs go all shriveled. That one's slightly shriveled, but not much, because this actually needs watering, but I'll do it when I finish filming, like I'll do everything when I finish filming. So it is slightly shriveled. It's not shriveled to the point where it's going to be silly, but I do know that this needs watering. Looking in the pot, it's completely dry, so I need to water this at some point. Well, I'll do it in a minute. So that's why dendrobiums, these particular type of dendrobiums, shed their leaves in the autumn, but not all of them, as is proof up there. All these leaves down here are all new growth. So they were all that was pushed up in August, September, and again, what's really good is, like, well, you can see on those pseudobulbs, look, they're plump, they're shiny, and they're very happy. So, you know, that's from, what's that, August, September last year. So I'm hoping we're going to get some more new growth, judging by the amount of root growth that's going on in that pot. We should get some more, and I'm really hoping that next year in the spring, sort of either before now or later on, you know, sort of next year in the spring, I'm hoping maybe I can get some flowers rather than these keikis. I mean, these were a response to the cold damage I did to the plant. So from my point of view, these were a response to that. It was just, as what you would call self-preservation. You know, it thought it might die, so it put out two new plants, two new baby plants. But be warned, these plants are very prone to making keikis, and they are quite difficult apparently to rebloom. But I'm hoping, with the mistakes I made last year, that maybe I may be able to sort it all out and get some blooms next year. But who knows? It's an interesting journey. This was a very special gift to me, and I've cocked it up. But it's a learning process. I've never had one before. So, you know, what do you do? Like I said before, I'll put up on the in the info card and down in the description and on the end screen in a minute, I will put up the link to the video where I've actually cocked it up the first time round, which is what's given me all this damage. The good news is, which is really nice with these, is that these plants are deciduous, so I know that at some point I'm going to lose these the leaves off of there. So, you know, I've just got to make sure, keep it in check, make sure there's no fungal disease, no you know, there's no fungal disease and no infection gets in, which I'm going to have to deal with in a minute. But I am really impressed with those pseudobulbs. I hadn't looked at those for a while, and I'm pleased they're plumping up. That's really good. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learnt something. Yeah, this dendrobium is not dead yet, as Roger would put it. He's not dead yet. He just looks a bit tatty at the minute, but hopefully that should sort itself out once we get new growths and all the rest of it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.